I, Obinna, swear by the gods that if I leave you, may the gods strike me dead.
I, Nneka, swear by the gods that if I let another man see my nakedness, I shall die.
In a quiet village of Umuaka, where the air smelled of roasted yam and palm wine, lived a young man named Obinna. Obinna was tall, humble and strong, the kind of young man every mother wanted for her daughter. He lived with his widowed mother, Mama Obinna, in a small mud house roofed with rusted zinc. Life wasn't easy for them, but he had peace. Mama Obinna was a hard-working woman. She sold firewood in the market and always prayed that her son's future would be brighter than hers. Every morning, Obinna went to the farm before sunrise, carrying the cutlass and a small bag of roasted corn. But even as he worked hard, there was one thing that made his heart soft. Nneka. Nneka was the daughter of Mama Nneka, a palm oil seller in Umuaka village. She was beautiful. Her smile could calm a storm, and her laughter echoed like a music from the gods. From childhood, Obinna and Nneka were inseparable. They fetched water together from the stream, they harvested yams together, they even shared their food during the village festivals. People in the village used to say, "If you see Obinna, Nneka is not far." Their love grew strong, pure and true. The kind of love that was not built on money, but on friendship and faith. Every evening, when the sun was setting behind the palm trees, they would sit under the udala tree near the stream and talked about their future. Obinna would always say, "One day, Nneka, I will marry you and build you a fine house." And Nneka would smile shyly, saying, "Obinna, I don't need a fine house, I just want you." Their love was like a flame, gentle but strong. But life is never kind for too long. As time went on, their family struggles became heavier. Mama Obinna fell sick, and their farm no longer produced enough to feed them. One evening, Obinna sat quietly under the udala tree with Nneka, looking worried. She noticed and asked softly, "Obinna, what troubles you?" He sighed deeply and said, "My mother is sick, and our farm is almost empty. I must go to the city to find work." Nneka's heart broke. "The city?" she repeated, her eyes filled with tears. "But Obinna, what about us?" He held her hands tightly and said, "I will come back for you, I swear it. I am going there not to forget you. I am going there to make our life better." She shook her head softly, tears dropping down her cheeks. "Obinna, I have heard stories of city life. People go and never return. The city changes hearts." Obinna smiled weakly and said, "Not my heart. My heart belongs to you, Nneka." Then he stood up, faced the moon and said, "If I ever forget you, may the gods punish me." "Don't say that," she cried. But he continued, "If I ever love another, may my blood remind me of you." Nneka looked at him, her lips trembling, and said quietly, "Then let us seal it before the gods, so nothing can break us." That same night, they went to Eke River, where the old priestess Mama Nneka watched over the shrine of love and truth. When I told her what they wanted, she frowned and said, "Young lovers, blood oath is not a gain. Once you bind your souls, nothing can separate you except death." But they insisted. So the priestess cut their thumb with a razor and let their blood drop into a calabash of palm wine. They both drank from it, one after the other. Then they swore before the gods. Obinna said,
I, Obinna, swear by the gods that if I leave you, may the gods strike me dead.
And Nneka said,
I, Nneka, swear by the gods that if I let another man see my nakedness, I shall die.
The wind blew strongly that night, as if the gods had heard them. The priestess nodded slowly. Your souls are now one. Go and love each other, but never break this bond. They both promised. When they returned home, they held each other tightly. That night, they slept with smile on their faces, dreaming of a future that would never come. The next morning, the whole village gathered to send Obinna off to the city. Mama Obinna cried as she held her sons back. My son, she said, the city is not crying. Remember where you come from. He knelt and held her hands, saying, I will make you proud, Mama. Nneka stood by the roadside, her eyes swollen from tears. When the boss arrived, Obinna hugged her for a long time. Remember our promise, he whispered. She nodded. Till death, Obinna, till death. The boss drove off, raising dust on the red road. Nneka stood there long after he disappeared, whispering to the wind, come back to me, Obinna. But even the wind did not answer. And somewhere deep in the forest, the gods of the river stared, for they had witnessed an oath that would one day demand blood. The city was nothing like the quiet life of Umuaka. Tall buildings replaced the trees. The air was filled with smoke instead of the smell of fresh earth, and the noise never stopped, even at night. When Obinna first arrived in the city, he was lost. He had nowhere to sleep, no job, and no friend to call his own. He spent his first night at the motor park, using his small bag as a pillow. But no matter how hard life was, he always remembered Nneka. Every evening, he brought out the small wooden pendant she gave him and kissed it softly before sleeping. He whispered her name every night. Nneka, my love, I will return for you. After some weeks, luck finally smiled on him. He met a kind trader named Mr. Okafor, who gave him a job as a storekeeper in his building material shop. Obinna worked day and night, carrying heavy bags of cement, sweeping the shop, and learning the business. He sent small money home whenever he could, asking his mother to give some to Nneka. Mama Nneka always smiled when she received the envelope. Obinna is a good boy, she would say. He will come back for my daughter. Every night, Nneka would sit under the Udala tree, holding his old photo and smiling through her tears. But life in the city has a way of changing people, slowly, quietly, and dangerously. Months passed, and Obinna began to blend into the fast rhythm of city life. He started dressing better, speaking differently, and thinking bigger. Still, he never forgot Nneka, or so he thought. Then one morning, something happened that would change everything. A young lady walked into Mr. Okafor's shop looking for material for a new boutique. She was beautiful, fair-skinned, soft-spoken, and well-dressed. Her name was Amarachi. From that day, she started visiting often, sometimes to buy something, sometimes just to talk. At first, Obinna was shy around her. He told himself she was just another customer, but Amarachi was kind. She always brought him snacks and asked how he was coping in the city. Weeks turned into months. Obinna began to look forward to her visits. She reminded him of the kind of life he always wanted: comfort, peace, and progress. He tried to push her away, but the heart is a traitor. One evening, it started raining heavily. Amarachi offered him a ride home in her car. On the way, they talked for hours. For the first time in a long while, Obinna laughed without thinking of the village. When they reached his small room. She refused to leave immediately. They talked more. One thing led to another, and the unthinkable happened. That night, the oath was broken. Far away in Umuaka, Nneka woke up suddenly with a scream. She was sweating and trembling. Mama Nneka rushed into her room. "What is it, my daughter?" Nneka could barely speak. "Mama, I saw blood. I saw Obinna. He was crying." Mama Nneka held her and said softly, "It was just a dream." But Nneka knew it wasn't just a dream. Something inside her chest felt heavy, like the gods were watching. From that night, she started feeling strange pains. Sometimes her heart would race without reason. Sometimes she would feel like someone was whispering her name in the wind. Meanwhile, in the city, Obinna tried to act normal. He told himself it was just one mistake. He avoided Amarachi for some days, but she didn't stop coming. She truly loved him, and slowly she pulled him deeper into her world. Before long, he moved in with her. He told no one, not even his mother. Months passed, and he forgot the smell of the red earth, the sound of the udala tree, and the face of Nneka. Back in Umuaka, things were falling apart. Nneka had stopped eating. She would go to the stream and sit by the water for hours, staring blankly. The other girls whispered behind her back. They said she was cursed, but she wasn't cursed. She was bound. Bound by a blood oath that even had been broken by the man she loved. One day, Mama Nneka couldn't take it anymore. She called the village priestess, Mama Nwai, the same woman who had performed the oath. When the old priestess entered their hut, Mama Nneka fell to her knees. "Please help my daughter, she is dying." The priestess placed her hand on Nneka's head and closed her eyes. After a long silence, she opened them and said in a trembling voice, "The gods are angry. The man who swore with her blood has broken his vow." Mama Nneka gasped, "Obinna?" The priestess nodded slowly. "He has defied the bond, and now the blood is crying." Nneka started shaking violently. Her eyes rolled back as if someone was dragging her soul. The priestess shouted, "Get me water from Eke River, quickly!" When they poured the water on her, she calmed down, but her breathing became weak. The priestess sighed deeply and sighed. "If the man does not confess or return to the one he swore with, both shall suffer." That night, thunder rolled across Umuaka. The udala tree, where they once sat, lost one of its big branches. The gods had begun to move, and far away in the city, Obinna woke up screaming, his body covered in cold sweat. He didn't understand why his heart was racing or why his nose was bleeding, but the oath had started speaking. The blood that once joined his soul had now become a curse waiting to strike.